So I'm Dr. Adarsh. I'm founder of V Medical, and I'm presenting P-Scope, world's first scope for abdominal cavity examination. Our mission is to make abdominal cavity examination accessible and safe. The present process of abdominal cavity examination is quite complex. Whenever there is a problem in the abdomen, patients have to first undergo non-invasive tests like an X-ray, ultrasound, CT scan, and a PET scan, which have their own limitations. They have risk of radiation, and often they are inconclusive. So these patients have to go through second line of tests, invasive tests, for example, a diagnostic laparoscopy, which is a minimally invasive procedure but requires general anesthesia and admission. However, these laparoscopes are not widely available. So these patients have to go through a diagnostic laparotomy, which is highly invasive, expensive, and requires general anesthesia. So we have simplified the process of abdominal cavity examination. We give local anesthesia on the abdominal wall, a transversus abdominis plane block. So it's a very simple block. So basically, this is the first, we blunt the needle, and this is the first pop, external oblique, second pop, internal oblique, and basically we put a local anesthetic in the transversus abdominis plane. So the nerves that supply that part of the abdominal wall are anesthetized. So it's a very common block that is used in our surgical practice, and it's a very safe block. So if required, we confirm with an ultrasound. So this is the device. It's completely disposable. It has an optical port, camera, light source, a balloon, and a screen to visualize inside. So we make a small nick around 3 millimeters. We introduce this device under vision. And once we are inside, we put some atmospheric air to make some space inside the abdominal cavity. Then we introduce the device inside. We can have a look inside the abdominal cavity. So these are the intestines. If required, pass a biopsy forceps, which is integrated in the device, and take a biopsy as well. And this is the biopsy forceps, which is integrated in the device. If required, it has a irrigation suction, release all the gas, take out the port, and the patient is completely awake because this procedure is performed under local anesthesia. So it's a minimally invasive procedure performed with a small incision. It is quick and convenient as it's an ambulatory procedure. Basically, we are converting an inpatient procedure to an ambulatory procedure performed under local anesthesia. It's cost effective as the device is low cost and disposable. So we have received an FDA clearance for this device, and our clearance states diagnostic and therapeutic procedures for endoscopy within the peritoneal cavity, including female reproductive organs. It is a very broad clearance, which also again tells us that this device has multiple and broad applications. We have received a utility patent granted for this device in Australia and India presently, and our patents are pending in all the major economies across the globe. So it has multiple compelling applications, one of them being staging of abdominal cancers. Approximately 8 million abdominal cancers are diagnosed every year. In that, 40% of these patients present with peritoneal metastasis. And this is a very important stage in abdominal cancer management. The very important decision has to be taken whether the patient goes for a palliative care or a curative intent based on whether the metastases are present or not present. Presently, CT, MRI, and PET scan cannot identify lesions that are less than 5 millimeters. And diagnostic laparoscopy or laparotomy is the current gold standard to identify peritoneal metastasis. However, our scope can perform the same function of a diagnostic laparoscopy or a laparotomy under local anesthesia with 100% accuracy. So there is evidence available for this. There is a study review article, systemic review article, or review of diagnostic tools for peritoneal metastasis in gastric cancer, staging laparoscopy and its alternatives. And they concluded that staging laparoscopy outperformed CT, MRI, PET scan in all measured aspects, namely sensitivity, specificity, positive predictive value, negative predictive value, and was statistically superior modality. However, they also noted that laparoscopy is an invasive surgical procedure, risk of anesthesia, infection, and require more time, resources, and is expensive. So our device has a potential to become gold standard for identifying peritoneal metastasis. It has other applications in ICU, patients admitted in abdominal sepsis. They have high mortality rate up to 70%, mainly because these patients are very sick at presentation. They are on ventilator, they are on dialysis. So transporting these patients to radiology or operating room is not safe. So we can perform the scopy inside an ICU in the bedside. We can go inside, have a look, and come to a definitive diagnosis in these patients. So again, there is evidence available for this. There is a study, bedside laparoscopy as a diagnostic tool in critically ill patients. It's a review article wherein they bought in the laparoscope in an ICU, performed these scopies, and tried to find out if such procedures were helpful. And they found that there was change in clinical management in 70% of the patients. They could avoid unnecessary laparotomies in 50% of the patients, and they could lower mortality rate by 20%. And they concluded that such procedures should be performed every time there is when there is no non-conclusive laboratory or radiological results. It has other applications to perform liver biopsies and evaluate pain of unknown origin in trauma for timely and effective treatment in golden hour, in blunt trauma abdomen or penetrating injuries. It has applications in women's health. It has many miscellaneous applications and some exciting future applications as well. So abdomen has 10 major organs. We have multiple compelling applications. Our contract manufacturing cost is $100. We intend to sell these devices at $1,000. We need to generate million procedures to generate $1 billion revenue globally. The total market size for endoscopy globally is around $40 billion. In that, the laparoscopy market size is around $15 billion. And 25% of these laparoscopic procedures are diagnostic in nature. That makes the sum of $4 billion. The market drivers being demand for minimally invasive surgical tools, value-based solutions, and improved clinical outcome. So as of now, with 500K, we have achieved our IP, FDA clearance, and contract manufacturers are in place. We are raising around $1 million at a 5 million valuation to get to product market fit, and further will raise another 4 million to get regulatory clearance in EU and Asia and expand to multiple indications and further growth investment. And we aim to reach 100 million revenue by 2030. So we have a very lean go-to-market strategy. We have tied up with AcuityMD, which provide us with high value physician leads, and we pass on these leads to nationwide 1099 workforce. So we have tied up with Sanford Rose, which provides us with this workforce, and we are also tied up with Unifor Logistics, which is a specialized medical device logistical company. This will store, distribute, and invoice for our devices. And we also intend to participate in conferences and publications and probably a small direct marketing, sales and marketing team. So there are approximately 20 large OEMs in the endoscopy market, Olympus, Ambu, Strauss, Boston Scientific, etc. We are a good strategic fit for these companies. We are already in talks with Strauss and Medtronic, and we are also incubated at J&J Labs at Texas Medical Center, and they have put us in their Ethicon portfolio. So I'm Dr. Adarsh. I'm a founder and a minimal access surgeon with 15 years of experience. I have had 2 previous startups in medtech. Thomas is a co-founder. He has 30 years of leadership experience in medtech, and he has 3 medtech startup exits. We all know Susie, and she has been a great support for us, and we are very lucky to have her. And Dr. Stephen is a former medical officer with FDA, and he was great help with FDA. And we have other team members from various backgrounds. As of now, we have patents granted, FDA cleared, compelling clinical applications. We've also finished an University of Massachusetts M2D2 accelerator. Recently, we have had interest from MD Anderson for the oncology applications. We look forward for your support. Thank you.
Great job. Thank you, Dr. Patel. Any questions?
So Dr. Adarsh, I really loved your video presentation along with your story. It was so beautifully laid out. That tells an experienced and seasoned founder like yourself. And I also love the lean approach of your go-to-market. So here's a question. As a serial founder, why you chose this problem and why it is important to solve now?
Yeah, so I am a surgeon myself, and with my all previous ventures, I learned a lesson that the idea should be in your own background. That makes things easier. And I was looking for problems in my own. I was looking for problems in my own background, and in my clinical practice, I saw that there was a clinical gap, and I went back and evaluated the market size of such a clinical problem, and it looked very attractive for me, and that's why I took. And also, I saw in my clinical practice that most of the procedures are moving towards ambulatory. So I saw that most of the procedures are getting converted in ambulatory or minimal access surgery. The trend is towards ambulatory surgery, and that market is growing rapidly. So I felt that just to look inside the abdomen, to put a patient through a surgery and anesthesia, and a OR and expenses involved in it, and the psychological burden involved in going through an OR and a surgery are too much. So the same can be, if that same can be achieved as an outpatient with a minimal access surgery, that would be game changing. So that's why that motivated me to take up this idea actually.
Thank you for your excellent answer.
Yeah. You seem like you have a useful product. And I was wondering if there's someone else globally that's doing something similar or has a similar device. And then do you have actual clinical data utilizing your device?
Well, yeah, so this is a novel product, and we have granted patents, and there is no similar device available as such. And as per the clinical data, this is a miniaturized laparoscope. So doctors have performed similar procedures using the laparoscope. So there are sufficient evidence on that front. So the same evidence was applied to FDA, and we could get through the FDA with the similar evidence. So the evidence is already available for this. So Dr. Udwadia, he was a very famous surgeon in India. So he performed around 2,500 scopies over 10 years using existing laparoscope under local anesthesia and using atmospheric air. So he concluded that it has great value in liver pathology, malignancy. It helps in planning surgery and reduce morbidity. The procedure has been performed by doctors. However, there was no device that was portable, that was single use, and that had all the regulatory clearance and reimbursement. So we are filling that gap.
Okay. You're not worried about competition out there?
So as we have patents for this device, so we are not so worried as of now.
Okay.
Dr. Patel, on just the what should I say, uptake in the market, are you seeing any challenges in terms of psychology of doctors? I understand procedures are moving more towards ambulatory side, but is there a resistance because they understand the whole the laparoscopy pathway? They've been doing that for years, and this new channel or new modality, will it require a lot of education, and that's why your traction could be slowed down? Or how do you perceive to sort of circumvent that challenge?
Well, yeah. So most of the surgeons I have spoken to are comfortable with it, and as soon as they see the device, I don't have to explain them what this device is meant for. So most of them are comfortable. However, for any new device, there are going to be some barriers.
Especially like, for example, in oncology use cases, would they be more comfortable with, like, having something they've used traditionally and will for sure not create like any gaps in identifying lesions that they otherwise might suspect this could create a challenge with, or no such issues?
Especially in oncology, the application is very exciting. So presently, what happens is that many a times we take these patients to OR after CT shows that there are no Mets, and we take up those patients for a laparotomy. We cut open the abdomen and we open up and see that there are peritoneal secondaries. in that case, we have to just close the abdomen and send them back for a chemotherapy. So, and this is a great challenge for us surgeons. We have to prepare for a major surgery. We have to prepare mentally, physically for the major surgery, and we open up the abdomen and we see there are peritoneal mets and we cannot continue the surgery. We have to just close the abdomen and come back. So it's a huge problem presently, and this device would really be helpful in that. So I don't see any major drawbacks in that area.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Great job. Thank you guys all so much, and some great questions being asked today too. Fantastic.